Hello, and welcome to Cry Havoc Wargaming, dedicated to bringing you the uncommon. For those of you who haven't met me, my name is Ron, and today I'm going to do a review of the projects I'm working on for the upcoming year. So let's get started. Really wanted to get a game video up, and it's been a little rough with the transition into the new year at work and in my time. So I thought what I would do, like a lot of other pages do, and like I think I've done in the past, is simply a discussion of the projects that I have intended for 2025. I'm going to do this first by starting about projects that we're doing at the Williamsburg Legatai, because some of those will overlap. Some of those will end up being presented here as games as I'm getting them prepared. It often does drive some of what I do. So in February, we're planning on doing at least some games, and maybe all month, of Carnevale. So I do intend to get some of my Carnevale games, videos back up online, do some video battle reports for Carnevale. It's been a while since I've done any Carnevale on the page anyway, so it's long overdue. My whole club are big fans of Force of Virtue. We'll still be playing with that in sometime relatively soon, and we've already got the PDFs, but pretty soon we'll be getting our Kickstarter packages for the Siege and Horse upgrade for that. I've done some games using, not the Siege I don't think, but I did some of the horse rolls earlier on the page with how they existed at the time under the beta. No doubt some of that will be reflected here on the page. Also, this is completely club driven. I'm not even familiar with the game, but there's a somewhat obscure game printed in Blaster magazine, Blaster number 7 specifically, called Arsenal, which is a science fiction game. It is a low-level skirmish game, uses just a handful of figures, mostly infantrymen with one large robot mech. So we're doing that, and I don't know if I'll be able to present much of that on this page unless I can borrow somebody's team, because I only have one group. But I would like to try to show some of that on here, because Arsenal so far is getting very little attention, and the reality is I don't even know if we're going to enjoy it. I can't judge a set of rules just by reading them, and none of us have played the game yet. But it's a very low impact to get started in. In fact, it's I think it is meant to be figure agnostic, but it was written by a sculptor of 3D printed figures. You buy the STLs and you print the figures yourself, and it's pretty inexpensive. The figures are pretty cool. Maybe I'll bring mine in and at least show them to you if I can't get a game. And I believe I actually talked about borrowing somebody else's force to be able to present a game here. So Arsenal might make it on the page here as well. We're also getting into Midgard, and I may be able to present some Midgard games here. Midgard is by Reichwitz Press, which is connected to Two Fat Lardies. We were doing a Dux Britannorum campaign, and it kind of stagnated because the game, I hate to talk poorly about Two Fat Lardies, but I think the game is kind of weak, Dux Britannorum. The campaign system, you've got to play the campaign to do it at all, because the campaign is the more interesting part of the game. But even that, it was starting to have its issues, and we could all see where it was going to go. The Romano, it's very difficult to win as a Romano Brett, which is what my army was. But historically they didn't win. So, but in an attempt, after having talked most of the club into getting into a campaign of that, I'm trying to find a way to offset some of the expenses they put onto it, and Midgard seemed like a great way to go. Midgard is a game of heroic battles. It is, not only is it figure agnostic, it is almost time period agnostic. I mean, it's designed around anything in those periods where leadership, heroic leadership, really matters, and it's driven by the feel of a more ancient fight. So it's perfect for Saxons and Romano Britons. In fact, there's armies written up for that in the book. They recommend doing Troy and Greek fighting. They argue that you can use it all the way up into the War of the Roses, and I think that's kind of pushing it. I mean, and you'd have to really abstract some of the firearm rules or not have firearms if you're getting into that late period. It's also, like a lot of modern games, it is figure size agnostic. Most people seem to be playing it in 28 millimeter, and that's what we're going to be doing. But all of the scales and measurements are based on the width of a unit. And so it's very easy to transpose it. You could use 10 millimeter or 6 millimeter or 15 millimeter or whatever you wanted to create the feel of these large heroic battles. That game I'm very interested in. I do have almost 2 complete armies for it already, a Saxon and a Romano-Brit army, so that will be shown on the page. That's for certain. A game I want to introduce to the club that is actually being driven by my interests is Devilry Afoot. Devilry Afoot is very similar to the concept of Silver Bayonet. In fact, I think in some ways it works better in this period. Where it's majorly different is, one, it is not a player versus player game. It is either a co-op game or a solo game where all the players are playing a group together working towards the same end. It's very much like a light RPG, and it's set anywhere in the War of Religion. I'm looking at putting it probably in England, maybe the 30 Years' War, and I'm using primarily figures from Bloody Miniatures, which are just absolutely beautiful figures. That's for the one side. I didn't even mention what the game is. Devilry Afoot, it is, like as I say, it is set in the period of the War of Religion, and they point out doing it either in Europe or in England or in North America, because what it's really about is witch hunting or various monster hunting. That's where it's very much like Silver Bayonet, but instead of it being Napoleonic and being player versus player, it definitely has a strong vibe for the earlier period. In fact, the book is just phenomenal. I meant to bring my books with me today. I forgot them. But almost all the art in the book is either pictures of games or pictures of figures, just like you'd see in any other game, or woodcuts from the period, often from various witch hunting treatises. So it's got a really neat feel, the book itself, and I think the idea of fighting these supernatural evil creatures coming back really fits that period well. I am definitely going to be playing that game for you guys on here. I'm only held off because I haven't painted all my figures yet, and there were some I needed to get even to be able to present a game of it. But that's going to be on this page pretty quickly. I do hope to, speaking of my own page, I am hoping to revive my campaign for Parsecs, for 5 Parsecs, particularly using some of the new rules that are in the new book that Modiphius put out. So that's definitely something to look for here. I've been working on putting together Crooked Dice's 7TV Dracula, which is something it took place part of the Kickstarter for that, and I haven't done much with it except painted some figures. So I'm putting things together. I need to get that up and running, and that'll be presented on here. Of course, I just recently had got into Drop Zone, so I may continue with some of that here, I hope. And that's what we're looking at primarily. I'm wondering if I'm leaving something out of this. Oh, I've been playing with AK-47, so I need to get some of that here. Anyway, what I would like to do is ask you if you have any ideas or things you specifically would like to see me pursue of any of those things that I've mentioned here or that we've done before, or possibly other ideas, other things you'd like to see us involve ourselves into. I will say I'm not likely to jump into a new period or something that requires a great deal of new terrain or new figures just to try something out, because this page it's mostly self-supported. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee account. I recently have been monetized, but that's not really offsetting my expenses. Just trying new rules that I can use the figures I already have on. That's something that I'm willing to look into if you have rules you would like to suggest. And definitely the things I've already done that you'd like to see me put more time into. I really need to get back to some Baron's War. That's clearly of interest to a lot of people. I need to print up some of my tanks for Quar and do some more Quar. My most popular videos seem to be the Quar videos. And I do like the game, I just don't do much with it. I probably should do some Turn Up 28 videos too. I only have one side for that too. I'd have to borrow an army for that, but that's something I may be able to do as well. Anyway, if you have ideas for further content you'd like to see us produce here on Cry Havoc Wargaming, or if you're interested in any of the games I've already specifically mentioned, please let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you've enjoyed the video and found it useful, I hope you'll hit like. And if you'd like to receive further notifications for videos like this one, or others that may help you better determine how to spend your money or time in your tabletop wargaming hobby, then I hope you'll hit subscribe and ring our notification bell. Till next time, cheers.